Thank y'all for being here. Cindy, we're ready.
All right, well, first of all, I'm gonna start with showing you what's gonna go on these pots today. They're up here boiling now. So in the first one, carrots. Okay, and the second one. Oh, let's see if I survived both of them. I did. Eggs. Oh, and I don't think I have enough water for that one. It's not got it covered completely, so it'll be kind of oddly cooked here in a little bit. All right. Let these get going again. Okay, so first of all, I want to just talk a little bit about last week to see. I just remember what Paul said about getting too close to this. I love that conversation because it is about people don't want to be sold, they want to be helped. So how do you create that conversation in which you help somebody? And that was perfect, the way that led into, by the way, I'm getting a divorce, and yes, how you helped her through that, because she is going to need help through that. It is so true. What other life events could someone have that they're going to need help when it comes to their house? Either selling, buying, whatever the case may be.
We've had, my husband has an auction business and we've had a lot of estates, debts.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Marriages. That's another big one. We have the wedding season is coming up, right? It's right around the corner.
Babies.
Babies, yes, needing to
Bigger house.
grow. As we talked about last time, I just heard about it again last week about the silver tsunami. The elderly people who are gonna start downsizing. Where are they? So did anyone make a contact from last week that maybe you just hadn't thought about contacting before? That maybe it's a group where you're gonna get involved, a meeting you're gonna go to? Anyone kind of step into that anywhere?
I did. I tried to join the neighborhood book club, like I said, but they were having a closed set, like we saw that there was a meeting, so we went down and I was gonna kind of inquire about it, and they were having a closed session. We didn't realize it, but I did talk to the admin lady. She
Nice.
Figured it out.
Perfect.
I have multiple groups that I'm an admin for, and I have neglected them because I wasn't friends with most, like, half of them, so.
Yes.
I've added about 60 people in my groups that I already should have been doing that already, but.
Nice.
Definitely.
Did you say 60? Nice. Wow. Wow. Anybody else do anything that kind of puts you outside your comfort zone or something in the community that?
I reached out this morning, owns a business and led into hopefully placing a plan design part of the business. And now I reached
Nice.
to somebody else that has led into me trying to improve, so getting open for hearing loss. So it's just kind of random.
Nice. Nice. I think I can start my timer. Anybody else?
I'm working on a rabbit club that I've started to join a couple months ago, and then it was too busy, so yeah, I'm reaching out just before and to start doing that.
Nice. Yes. Anybody else have anything? Paul, I said I was going to bring you up again this morning because you came up last week and you had already left. How many years ago was it that we actually met in MBX? I said about 16, 17 years ago. And my point being is that you never know when a connection is going to create something, is going to create business. That's how long ago Paul and I met. And he was the connection to having me come do the Max Talk a couple of months ago with your group that Christy had put together, which then led into me being here. If it hadn't been for mine and Paul's connection from years ago, it may or may not have happened. The chances were definitely less. But because of that, yes, here I am. And Jennifer being in my, Jennifer Parsons being in my BNI group as well. So you never know when it can happen. All right, let me take a look here and see how we're looking. Okay, so We have about 7 minutes before this is ready. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is what is happening all around us today that sometimes makes us feel like the world is on fire. The running, the going, the doing, the fixing, the being, everything that comes along with that. And someone just mentioned the cooking. He said, you know, cooking 2 meals. How do you put that in your calendar? Which is probably going to be our next week's conversation, is about time management. But what kind of things are we talking about that are going on, particularly in the real estate world? And let's even talk about 2023. About what happened. I didn't see you come in. How did I not see you come in?
I saw her come in.
See you come in. So let's talk about 2023 real quick. So what was the fire? What was the constant? What made your job more difficult? Made it harder?
Federal Reserve.
Right? Yes. Yes. The rates. Whoo. What else? What else is going on around us?
NAR turmoil.
Yeah, that was a big deal. What else? What else goes on in your world? Even now today, what goes on in your world that it's constantly going on around you. It just feels like you're constantly trying to catch up. What is happening? What makes it hard?
Everything moves at a really fast pace and instant gratification.
Mhm. Mhm. Anybody else?
No, but I dream that stuff. I have routine dreams of like not getting everything done or not packing quick enough or it's just really disturbing.
Yes. I heard on the way here, on my drive up the interstate on a radio show, the average adult is only out of 365 days a year, only 136 days are they getting sound sleep. What? What? So the rest of the days per year, they're not getting sound sleep due to stress, thinking about work, the kids, the this, the that, the laying down and not being able to get a sound sleep. I literally heard that on the way up the interstate just a minute ago. That's kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. What else is going on in our world that we're trying to do and keep up with?
Late in the house, vacuuming, dogs, kids, boyfriends, husbands, jobs you not to have anymore.
I'm glad you put the dogs in there. That's what I'm glad to hear. I heard the dogs, yes.
Dogs and men are all kinds of.
Some people bet too.
This week it's been feeding these kids who were supposed to be eating 3 meals a day and are eating 7. all of a sudden.
Right, yeah, all of a sudden they're eating everything. Yes, yes, so which means you have to
I can't criticize.
get to the grocery store, right? Yes, yeah. What else? Come on.
Taxes.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Yes. Who's got their stuff prepared and starting to get it together for taxes?
Starting.
Yes, yes. Again, we will talk about this next week when we talk about time management and how you plan these things and how sometimes you have to protect your time to get things done. Because it is about, sometimes it truly is about, you got to take care of stuff, the paperwork and the other stuff, so you can take care of your clients. Particularly the clients that need that stuff done. I was working with an insurance agency not too long ago. The problem was they were so busy trying to sell, bring in new clients. What was happening on the back end is the paperwork wasn't getting done on the back end for those same clients. If they had a claim or whatever, or they had a change in, you know, their policies or whatever, they weren't getting those things done on the back end for all of those clients that they were bringing in and doing a great job in the sales of it, but not following up on the back end and getting stuff done. So guess what started happening? They start losing those clients. Particularly the ones that they'd had for a while, because they were so busy taking care of the new ones, getting new ones in. The clients have been around for a while. there's no interest anymore? How many just love it when you hear an ad or you go in and say, oh no, that new phone only applies to someone who is brand new coming into the company? And you're like, I've been here for 7 years. What do you mean? It doesn't apply to me. It's not real fun. So that's what started happening for this insurance agency. They started focusing on that piece so much. They started losing their clients, particularly the ones that had been with them for a little while. Yes.
That actually happened last year. I've been with the company for many years, with rental properties, and well, I changed companies because of that. I've been, so very, you can see that
Absolutely.
in banks as well.
Yes.
Experience in banking, if you do a lot of, for instance, commercial banking, say your properties, because I've got an awesome lady who will always reach out to me and say, hey, your loan is coming up, or the rental, blah, 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 you know, and then you have Sunday, you call and they'll put you to the side.
Right.
And that's very common, I think.
It's very true.
More than what people realize.
Yes. It's very true. And a bank is a very good example.
Yeah.
A very good example. I need to check something here real quick. Perfect. Christy's gonna see this video and go, what the heck? But here in a little while, she's gonna see what's getting ready to come to fruition. All right, where is mine?
I don't want none of them carrots unless you got some roast beef to go with it.
I need cornbread.
That does sound good, actually. These are cold days. You just want that comfort food. Okay, stop now. Okay. All right, so a lot of times we can't go through life feeling like the world around us, we're just trying to keep up, go, do, fix, constant go, go, go. And what happens is the outside world can start influencing where we are in our lives and how difficult that can be. So let's liken that to, so the first pot had what in it? Anybody remember the first one? Carrots. So what can happen is in these worlds of constant go, fix, and do, and think of the hot water that's in the pot, the boiling. That's kind of like the world around us sometimes. We feel like everything is going on and we're just trying to keep up. That's the hot water. That's the boiling point. But what can happen with carrots in particular is sometimes that boiling water, that stuff going on around us, can really make us pretty soft. What we're letting the environment do to us at this point, the boiling water that's going on, is now it softens us. We feel like we have no control. We have no say. We don't speak up. We're afraid to be embarrassed. We liken it to getting a little soft. We're a victim. We're always the victim and blaming somebody else. It's really easy to let life, the boiling water that's going on around us, affect us this way. How many people know somebody? We all know somebody. It is real. Now, the second one, the egg. So we all know what happens to the egg once it has boiled. So what happens to the egg?
Hardens.
It actually becomes hard. And yes, this is going to be very hot. Where is my, sorry guys. I've got things in the wrong places in my little packs. Here's what's happened. Here we go. So we can allow it to harden us. What's the most fun part about a hard egg? Getting the shell off.
Especially this one.
And a hot one at that, of course. my glasses, that's all right. All right, all of it's not off, but that's okay. So we all know what happens to the egg and what it looks like once it becomes hard boiled. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about how perfectly hard boiled that is. Can I just tell you? But life can make us hard. It can harden our hearts. It can harden our minds. That my way is the only way. Fear. If someone doesn't think the way I do, then they're wrong. It hardens our heart to think that people can actually be kind still. How many of you know someone that is of this mindset? How many people have both? How many people do you know that are both? They feel like they cannot control their lives. Their opinion doesn't matter. They don't know how to speak up. Therefore, their life has become hard. Their hearts have hardened. Their minds have hardened. These people are not very happy in this world. And what they don't realize is how they're letting the outside influences of the world around us, the boiling water, how they're letting it change them. They're letting it in. And they're not controlling that situation, or not just saying, either it's time for me to walk away from this, or how do I control the situation? I think I said it last week that one of the worst phrases uttered right now is, it is what it is. Always try to finish that with, it may be what it is. I'm not saying it's not. It is what it is, but it's going to become what you make it. So how you change that around. So the boiling water can definitely, or the world around us, we can let it make us soft, or we can let it make us hard, or the combination of the two. And as I said, I guarantee you, you know somebody who's in one of these or both. Not fun. This does not make life enjoyable. And that's not what we're here for. It's really not. So my challenge to you today is, instead, how do you use the boiling water around to transform you instead? Instead of changing you, making you hard or soft, how do you transform the environment around you? I did this at 10 o'clock last night. This is a handful of coffee beans. I put in the jar, and then I added boiling water. Boiling water. But instead of the coffee bean disintegrating, becoming hard or soft, instead, the coffee bean changed its environment instead of letting the environment change it. Now, that's kind of light coffee for me. I like mine pretty dark, but it's still coffee. Now, what happens is, these talk about 8 minutes to soften the carrots, harden the egg. So this happens much quicker if we're not careful, as opposed to helping to change the environment around us, transforming the environment around us. It may take a little longer. 10 o'clock last night, no, about 9 o'clock last night is how long it took for that to actually become coffee. So yes, sometimes it will take longer to work on and change the environment around you, as opposed to letting the environment change you. How do you influence the environment around you? What are some of the things that just doesn't feel like you can control? But time management, how do you start learning to control those things? What things can you put in place that help you? I had one client, this was several years ago, and he was talking about he had 4 kids, and just all the time the house was in a wreck, and he'd come home, toys on the floor everywhere, just cannot keep up. Then it's cooking and all this kind of stuff. And the remedy was, all he did was create a basket for each kid, because they were all still young enough that they all had their toys. He created a basket. He let them each decorate it on their own, however they wanted that to be. And at the end of every night before they went to bed, they had to put their things 10 minutes before bed, just pick up their things and put them in their basket that they have created, slide it under this bench that they had, and poof. 10 minutes. And they had fun creating the basket that was going to be theirs personally. So sometimes it can be something that can be simple if we just take that time and figure out a system or a process. How do you become coffee instead of becoming hardened or softened. Now, what I have for you today is I want you to keep this somewhere on your desk, at home somewhere. Coffee beans. Put these somewhere around you that you can see this every day to remind you, how do you change your environment? Yeah, sure. Do you want to take this one? Fine, you can. So don't do anything there. I have some extras in there too, just in case. So keeping the coffee beans close to you to remind you, I got this, I'm gonna start controlling my environment instead. Transform it and become a nice cup of coffee as to becoming hard and soft. And yes, I guarantee you the carrot and the eggs will be eaten because I do save these and I'll have them for lunch tomorrow probably. But yes, so keep this close to you, somewhere it can remind you that every day when something is coming up, how do I transform my environment instead of letting my environment transform me? So one of the things, how many of you attended the Max Talks a couple of months ago? Anybody in here, were you all there? Yes, okay. So some of this you've already heard a little bit about, but I like talking about how many in here, and most all of us have grown up hearing this, talking about the placebo effect. This is when companies that create the medications that have prolonged our lives today for sure and made us, we're not dying of, rotted food because we have no way to store it. If we do get sick, we have ways to take care of that. Absolutely. But what they have to do is they have to create this test where they first test it on animals. And then eventually, guess what? They want to try it on us. And people volunteer for this. But what happens is they do half of the people will be on the actual pill or medication. The other half are not. And then they start keeping up with the people and what they're feeling, what's happening. So what happens? I am more interested in the people who are actually not on the medication. Because it's amazing that even though they are not on the medication, a third up to 60% of the people will actually start feeling results. Now, they don't know that they're not on the actual tablet or the actual medication. They have no idea, but they still start getting relief. And we're not talking about cures. It usually has to do with like pain that they start feeling relief. Because what happens is even though they think they are on something, the brain is so powerful that it actually starts releasing endomorphins and dopamine, all of these things that come into our body and go directly to a site that's causing pain and gives relief, all because they think they might be on the medication. That's a pretty big number. Step further. In 2011, the American Psychological Association published a study that a Dr. Kapchuk had done in 2009. Dr. Kapchuk said, I think we can go a step further with this. I am going to put people on a tablet and I'm actually going to tell them that this is not real. It is a placebo. It's on the bottle. They know they are not taking the medication. But what was amazing is 69% of the people, even though they know they are not on a medication, they know it's a placebo. They've been told it's on the bottle. 69% of the people started getting relief. And they know it's a placebo. Of course, his colleagues thought he was crazy, but this is what happened. This is what proved to be true. So what they deciphered from this was that it's not just about what you think that can release these endomorphins into the body and give relief. It's also the actions. It's the picking up the bottle, the taking off the lid, the putting the tablet in your mouth, the taking a drink of water, the putting the lid back on, putting the bottle down. It's also the action itself that the brain starts releasing endomorphins to create relief. So this tells us it's not just what you think that makes a difference. It's what you think, it's how you see life, it's how you speak to yourself and others It's how you move through life. It is more than just how you think. It's also the actions that you take that can release the endorphins, that can actually give you motivation in order to meet goals. So it's all the senses, it's all the actions. So what prevents us? If we know this, what prevents us from rising to the next level? What prevents us from reaching goals? What holds us back? Can we talk about that itty bitty shitty committee that gets in all of our heads? We all have it. The one that tells us what we can, should, and just do not need to do. Talks us out of everything. Out of fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failure. We let it talk us out of so many things. So at what point do we tell that committee in our heads to sit down and shut up and start replacing these committee members in a different way of how we talk to ourselves? That's replacing the committee members. By when you catch yourself having these thoughts, you say, stop, enough. I am not listening to this any longer. It's okay to be afraid. Do it anyway. Just do it afraid. We all feel that fear at some point in time with something that we're doing it. But because people have learned in time how to do it with fear anyway, that's what's created change, whether it be in their lives or something in the world. I mean, can you imagine Dr. Kapchuk, the fear he felt about, well, how's this going to go? Is this going to work? If it doesn't work, what are my colleagues going to think about me? You know, trying to even do this. But boy, we let it take control of us. Being kinder to ourselves. Would you talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself? Or would you be a little bit kinder? Surrounding yourself with people who lift you. I'm not saying people who aren't honest with you if you ask them their opinion about something. You want people who are honest with you, but you don't want them to be hateful about it, right? You want people around you who can do it in a kind way, who can lift you up, or do it in a way that's kind of funny and blunt, but not hurtful. Who do you have in your life that can help you with that? That can do that. And you're doing that for them in return. But replace that committee in your head. When the thoughts begin, sit down and shut up, because here's what I'm going to do. And here's what I know for a fact that is good about this, no matter what you say. What is the saying? Our thoughts create our actions create our surroundings around us. This is where it's very true. And this committee can be very loud. So when you hear it getting loud, here's what I ask you to do. And it sounds kind of funny, but I promise it works. The brain cannot think at the same time that you're doing this. It's hard to think about anything when you're doing that. You can, but man, it's not easy. It kind of shuts the brain down. So you actually shush it. Shh. Enough. You actually shush it. So when you hear this start, reasons why you shouldn't be doing anything. The fears. Shush it. Sit, get still, take some deep breaths, and when you're breathing out, and then grab the pen and write down your plan. Move forward. I'm not saying you're not going to be fearful. You may very well be. But the more you do it, the easier it gets and the less the fear happens. Have you been a carrot recently? What about the egg? How about both? What needs to happen for you to start transforming the environment around you instead? What can you do? What actions can you take? Because we know it's about actions as well. What can you do to transform your environment and become a coffee bean instead? This is a book. It's called The Coffee Bean. It's on Audible. I'm not kidding when I tell you on Audible, this book is 24 minutes long. So by the time you get in your car, get it started, get home, get to work, whatever that is, you can have it finished. 24 minutes. Because there's so much more to this story than what I'm telling you here today. This is definitely the basis of the story, but there is more to it. So please download this book or get it. Get the book. Can you imagine how thin that book really is if the whole book is read in 24 minutes? Hear the rest of the story. But this is the gist of it, which I absolutely love, becoming a coffee bean. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Any comments? Have there been times in your life that you have found yourself the carrot? Anything recent that you'd want to share or have become hard? What do you all think? This felt good earlier, now it's starting to get a little bit warm. I can feel that, yes. Anybody want to share, willing to share? Yes.
Okay. I use it is what it is a lot,
Oh, yes.
but I would argue a little bit that
Mhm.
there is definitely a place for it.
Mhm,
In times when we're talking about someone
mhm,
or a situation that is truly out of our control,
mhm.
we can make huge progress by really not getting stuck in it. By
Yes,
saying, that is what it is, and here am I, not going to try to change it,
which is the becoming what you make it.
becoming what you make it.
Yes,
But I use that phrase a lot because I do want to separate myself from whatever I could possibly get stuck in.
yes,
That is gonna keep me in a place of anxiety, trying to fix it, or just
Right.
discontentment, because you can't change people.
yes. Nope. They have to do that on their own.
Mhm.
Yes. And it is true. Sometimes the becoming what you make it is knowing when to walk away.
I probably use that phrase twice a day.
Yes. Just as long as you keep, but it becomes what I make it. And are you choosing to remove yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Or you're like, oh, you know what? I see something that could be like managed here and can be saved. Yes. So sometimes absolutely. Well, it is what it is, not trying to change it. It is what it is, but it becomes what you make it. Sometimes it's that hard decision. I'm done.
Mhm.
And the becoming what you make it is knowing when it's time to walk away.
Or even acknowledging our interest rates. It is what it is,
Right.
but my business is gonna survive because of this. I'm gonna do this. I still bring direct
Yes.
value. These people are still going to move,
Yes.
regardless of.
Becoming what you make it is, I know there are people who still need me. Yep, so you are doing the becoming what you make it. Absolutely, that's the key. It's the getting stuck in the it is what it is. And being the victim. Like there's nothing you can do, so you stay in it. Yes, that's when, this is not where you want to be as the victimhood. And staying in it because, well, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, yes, you don't want to stay stuck in that it is what it is, and then just start writing it. Nope. I love how you're moving forward with it and saying, you know what, but I still have clients who are gonna need me. Yes, it is what it is, but it's becoming what you're choosing to make it. Nice.
I was gonna say, cause if I ever think it is what it is, to me, it is what it is until it isn't. And so do you decide when it is, or do you want somebody else to decide?
Yes, and sometimes that somebody else is that committee. That committee. Yeah, very true. Anybody else?
I've got a good example of what another realtor did. I showed clients a house this weekend and, you know, it's like $500,000 house. So, you know, it's up there. And the seller put in the marketing remarks that the seller is willing to buy down the interest rates. And when I talked to her, she was like, you know, this is something they did in the 80s. I went back and, you know, so the seller's agent is the one that thought this may be a hard sell. Interest rates are high. you know, it's one of the higher priced homes in Danville. So she called around to local banks. They said, no, we don't do that anymore. And then called like a mortgage company and they agreed to do it, which I thought was
Nice.
genius because, you know, that is something they did in the eighties.
Absolutely it is.
You know, it's just thinking outside of the box.
Yes,
Like
or
she's-
burning that damn box sometimes. I'm telling you, yes, sometimes we have to burn the box.
And it was Geneva Mortgage that said they would do it, so.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice, yes, because that is what they used to do. And with the rates where they have been, I'll bet more kind of start picking that back up. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Anybody else? You'll never eat carrots or eggs again when I'm thinking about this. And I'm still just so happy about how pretty that hard-boiled egg turned out.
I think you need to eat it.
Oh, I will be later. Believe me, I got my containers over here that as I dip everything out. And yeah, that'll be lunch. Maybe here in a little while. Yes.
I was gonna add to what she was saying, I told my son, if you're with lowering the price, let's offer pay rate. Because at this point, they're worried about the rate one,
Right. Right.
so that's true.
Yes.
And so it's, what about the buyers don't have cash to bring?
And Jennifer did a post, it's been a couple of months ago now, that I absolutely loved and I shared. That it's about marrying the house, but date the rate right now. And I forget the numbers exactly, but like from the year, from here to here, if you'd waited till the rates come down before you bought a house, you would have spent this much in rent. As opposed to going ahead and buying the house and then when the rates come down, refinance. And what you saved on that end, but it's marrying the house and dating the rate. Because when the rates start coming back down, refinance. And that's another good selling point to people is, I know, you know, but the norm was not 2 to 3, 4%. That was not normal. So you really have to educate people on that. That's what was not normal. We're now getting in more of that normal market. So it's about educating people, and go ahead and get them to marry the house. Date the rate. I love that one. That was so good. Anybody else? You can enjoy eating the carrot. You can enjoy eating the egg. Don't become them. Be a nice coffee, even if you don't like coffee. You don't have to like coffee. You don't have to be in a leadership position to be a leader in what you do. How do you become a leader and transform the environment around you?